Have you ever spent hours studying, highlighting literally every single line on a page, drink in maybe your third cup of coffee, only to wake up the next day feeling like someone took a giant eraser to your brain? Oh man, it's an incredibly frustrating feeling, right? You put in all that focused work, but the knowledge just doesn't seem to stick. Well, today, we are going to fix that. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring a massive 4-step memory cheat code brought to us by the brilliant minds at the YouTube channel Wealth and Drive. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely validates that frustrating struggle you've been feeling. Check this out. A staggering 90% of what we learn just vanishes in 24 hours. 90%. So if you've been blaming yourself for having a bad memory, you really ought to stop right there. It's not your hardware, it's the software. We're all battling human biology here, and unless we do something to actively interrupt that massive memory drop-off, only a tiny sliver, just 10%, actually stays with us the next day. Like we just mentioned, the genius architects behind this cheat code are Wealth and Drive. In their deep dive on how to memorize anything so fast it almost feels like cheating, they laid out a blueprint that completely flips that 90% memory loss statistic on its head. We've distilled their brilliant framework into the visual steps you'll be seeing throughout this explainer today. Okay, let's dive into this with our official playbook. Here is the 4-step sequence. Step 1, active reading. Step 2, visualize and recall. Step 3, record yourself. And Step 4, mind mapping. All right, Step 1, active reading, the foundation to retain information. So this is where it all begins, and I absolutely cannot stress this enough. If we skip this foundational habit, the rest of the cheat code simply isn't going to work. Now, on the left, we've got passive reading. This is that wasteful habit most of us are guilty of, just letting our eyes glaze over the words, mechanically scanning the page while our brain is secretly wondering what's for dinner. Honestly, it's essentially useless for long-term retention. But on the right is our goal, active reading. This means you're constantly engaging, questioning, and actually interacting with the text. You need to stop just scanning pages and start actively hunting for the core meaning. Think of it more like an intense conversation with the author, rather than just passively sitting through some boring lecture. Let's move to and see how this builds into Step 2, visualize and recall, mirroring brain organization. Okay, so once you've actively pulled the information from the page, you have to actually store it properly, right? To really grasp this step, we need to understand a concept called mirroring. Basically, mirroring is about organizing information in your mind exactly how the brain naturally stores it. I want you to imagine your brain as in a messy, overflowing junk drawer, but a highly organized filing cabinet. If you just throw your loose, active reading notes into a drawer, well, you'll never find them again. But if you take a concept, visualize it clearly in your mind's eye, and place it into a specific, labeled mental folder, your recall becomes incredibly fast. You're intentionally structuring the data to match your brain's natural architecture, and that makes pulling that image back up completely effortless. Moving right along to Step 3, record yourself, which is really the secret to long-term retention. Now, we're definitely moving into slightly unconventional territory here. I know it might feel a little weird at first to sit in a room and just talk to yourself. But here's the thing. Hearing your own voice locks the information into your long-term memory vault. So the crucial point is that physically speaking the concepts out loud, recording them on your phone, and then playing them back to yourself fundamentally changes how your brain anchors that info. You see, you're hitting your brain from multiple sensory angles at this point. You read it actively, you visualized it in that mental filing cabinet, and now you're physically producing the sounds and listening to them auditorily. This multisensory loop, it's literally the ultimate hack to bypass that 24-hour memory wipe. And that brings us to Step 4, mind mapping, the ultimate one-page tool. We've finally arrived at the masterful last step of the cheat code, bringing every single concept together onto a single, powerful page. Here are the structural elements of a perfect mind map, so you can actually grab a piece of paper and start drawing one right now. First, identify your central topic and put it right in the dead center of the page. Second, branch out with the core concepts. Those are the key takeaways you actively read and visualized earlier. Third, connect those related ideas visually with lines, symbols, or even colors to show exactly how they relate to one another. And finally, condense the whole shebang onto a single page. Do not write out full sentences or paragraphs here. Use punchy keywords. This one-page visual map basically becomes the ultimate cheat sheet for your brain's filing cabinet. Finally, let's look at your ultimate memory tool, applying the cheat code. We've explored all the individual pieces. Now let's review exactly how they form a complete, unstoppable learning system. And this brilliantly illustrates how seamlessly it all flows together. Step 1, read actively, so the information actually registers in your brain. Step 2, visualize concepts, so they're safely stored in an organized mental filing cabinet. Step 3, record your voice, to deeply anchor that exact knowledge through multiple senses. And Step 4, build a mind map, to tie it all perfectly together on one quick reference visual page. When combined, these 4 steps work together to construct an absolute fortress around what you learn. Follow this, and I promise you will never be part of that 90% forgotten statistic again. So I want to leave you with a final provocative question. Now that you possess this cheat code, what complex topic are you going to choose to conquer next? Seriously, think about it for a second. Your intelligence isn't a fixed limit, and your memory isn't just bad. You simply needed the right system. Well, you now have the ultimate tools to learn anything efficiently. So pick a challenging book, fire up that active reading, and go learn something absolutely amazing.